2014. Tonight deals with the what-if question that no one really wants to consider, a potential recount in the very close governor's race. WESH 2 political reporter Greg Fox is here live to explain how a recount would work. And Greg, it seems crazy to think how many people are already gearing up for what might not happen.
It might seem that way, but look, Florida learned a hard lesson during the 2000 election when George W. Bush took the prize with just 537 votes more than Al Gore. Rick Scott won another close election 4 years ago with a margin of about 1.5%. So the question is, how close does it have to get to signal a recount?
So we know that the spotlight is here, yet we dread that word, recount. Election officials' prayer, we don't care who wins or loses, just win big.
Big is the key, according to election supervisor Bill Cowles. With fully 24% of voters having cast ballots early or by absentee, that's far ahead of the number of pre-election day voters than in 2010. But with polling showing a dead heat between Republican Rick Scott and Democrat Charlie Crist in the governor's race, already their teams are mobilizing in the event of a recount.
I've had lawyers with both the Charlie Crist campaign and the Governor Scott campaign contact me to make sure I was familiar with who they were and why they might be calling.
Such a recount was demanded in 2012 when Democrat Mike Clellan defeated Chris Dorworth in a local House race. In the governor's campaign, nearly 400 attorneys are already preparing to monitor every elections office.
Each campaign needs to make sure that they have their people ready and able to attend the canvassing boards in all 67 counties simultaneously as this process evolves.
A machine recount would be ordered first, but only if a margin between two candidates is 0.5%. After a machine recount, if the margin is 0.25%, a manual recount would be ordered. As an example, if Florida has 50% turnout for the election, 0.5% of 6 million voters would be 30,000 votes. That's less than half of the 61,000 vote margin of victory Scott had over Alex Sink in 2010.
Ultimately, the Secretary of State will determine if some or all of the supervisors of election will conduct recounts. And remember this, the election doesn't become official until November 18th. When the state canvassing board meets to ensure all totals are correct. Meredith?
Greg, thank you.